You're listening to What Honesty Feels Like with Christine Sawicki, that airs every Tuesday from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can catch us on rantradionetwork.com. If you're one of the most successful people in the world, I want to talk to you. I want to know how you got there, where you're going, and who you're giving back to. So call me at 855-969-7268 and check in with me, the most successful people in the world. You're listening to What Honesty Feels Like with Christine Sawicki. Hello, world. This is definitely my first show. So for those of you that don't know anything about me, I am an artist and now radio show host by default. Pretty interesting that this is my first show, and I've gotten into radio. As a kid, I used to get made fun of because I have a boy voice, and apparently it's a good voice for radio. So here I am, total artist. I'm excited to be here. We're going worldwide. Pretty crazy day today here in California anyway. It was pretty dreary this morning. I wasn't really interested in it, especially since I'm originally from Minnesota.
June gloom?
June gloom was definitely June gloom. And I was mad. I mean, my hair, I had to redo my hair for the show tonight. So I went in, but it cleared up by the end of the day and met some pretty interesting people. Met a God guy. Pretty interesting guy. He, apparently he quit his job for 6 months and he decided that he got a calling from God, and he just left for Atlantic City with no money, no job, no credit cards, no anything. And apparently God sent him a message and he did this, and he did it for 6 months and traveled from like city to city to city,
really?
Which is pretty crazy. Yeah. He didn't have any money, and he said along the way, people were giving him money, and he never went a day without 3 meals a day.
So his idea of success was not actually money. His success was in preaching the word, you're saying? Or?
Absolutely. So there's different ways. Like I said, my show is about what success feels like, what honesty feels like. I'll have I'm lucky enough to have a lot of the most successful people in the world coming to you through this show. So if you want to know how to be successful, if you want to know how to make it in life and make a lot of money, or if you want to be really happy, or whatever success looks like to you, definitely tune in. It's a lot faster than reading a self-help book. We got some pretty awesome guests. I'm pretty lucky. And I even have a boss in here today. He is a boss man. Yeah, and he's going to be my first guest, so I'm pretty excited to have him.
Thank you.
And he is the president and CEO of the Vaughn's Credit Union. So his name is Mr. Steve Weekly. So thank you for coming in.
And thank you, Christine, for having me on.
Yeah, he's got some pretty interesting stuff. And interestingly enough, I mean, bosses are a big part of people's lives, and people that run corporations and do stuff like that. I ran into another lady today. She was all upset. She just started her new job, and her boss was pretty hard on her, and she was all frazzled. She said that her boss called her smart but slow. Not so sure that's the best boss in the world, but you affect people's lives daily with your position and doing the things that you do. And so
it's really how we set the tone.
Yeah.
You want to make people perform, but you want to make them feel relaxed, because people perform better when they feel relaxed.
Oh, I would agree with you. For sure.
So you want that positive energy versus that negative energy.
The negative energy, yeah. She was pretty upset, and so I told her to just go home, drink a whole bottle of wine, going hungover tomorrow, and whatever. Just be slower tomorrow. I don't know if that's going to work for her, but literally, she was a funny lady. I hope I helped her out. She started laughing, and then I told her to find a hot guy. Just, you know what, do what you got to do.
No, what's a hot guy?
What's a hot guy?
Yeah. Is that a Minnesota term?
What's a hot guy? Yeah, is it a Minnesota term?
I thought you said hot guy.
No, hot guy.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
I said go out, relax, have fun, do something fun tonight. Okay. You can't let your boss get to you like that. So, like I said, we have Steve Weekly here. I want to talk to the most successful people in the world. I want to know how they got there, where they're from, what they give back, how they improve communities, and clearly, you have done that. There's no confusion there. I would like to find a guy worth what like the amount of assets that you run, which is $400 million.
Yes, $400 million in assets.
If you know a guy worth $400 million, can you introduce him to me? I'd like to retire. I'm
There
just
you go.
kidding. No. So on a serious note, though, Steve has accomplished a lot in his life, and so we're here to talk to him and
And we're
find
going to
out
talk about credit unions,
credit unions,
Right.
and what that's like,
and what the credit union difference is.
yeah, absolutely. So tell us about yourself, Steve. How did you? Where are you from?
Sure. I'm from Southern California, the SoCal, as we call it here, the home of the Dodgers and the home of the Lakers and the Trojans and the Bruins and all that. And so I grew up here, and I worked as a teamster in the warehouses when I was going to school. I was fortunate enough to go to USC, and I was working in the warehouses. And I always learned there that the value of money, because people had to work really hard to earn their money. But if they didn't have somebody really guiding them in the way that they handled the money, it could just dissipate very, very quickly. So, everybody had to go to work every day and work hard, and I really felt that a credit union, as my career unfolded, was really a way to give back and to help the average person out there. Not somebody really of upper means usually, but usually the average person, and buying a car, getting a home, something like that.
Well, interestingly
that's
enough,
what credit unions do for people.
Yeah, well, interesting. You brought up professional sports teams.
Right.
I myself, I dated a professional athlete for 11
Right,
years.
yeah.
We actually, on the show, I have a wonderful gentleman, former NBA player, now turned R&B singer. But you brought up how sometimes people don't know how to monitor their money, or they don't know what to do with their money, and so they need somebody that they can trust.
Trust,
because trust is a big thing when you have a lot of money, or even little money, I mean, money really turns people around or turns them into something they may not want to be. So tell us about that. How did you get your
Right.
job, Steve?
How did I get my job?
Somebody had to trust you, because that's
Yeah.
a lot of money and assets to monitor.
Right, it is. So, talking about sports athletes, you hear about so many of them that make all this money, then later you hear about 5 or 10 years later that they're broke. And really, because they didn't have somebody to shepherd them, they basically had somebody who wanted to get a piece of the action. And that's really the difference with a credit union. A credit union is a non-profit cooperative owned by its members, and it's always been kind of the little sister of the financial services industry. And it started off really small, but it's just continued to grow and grow and grow. And there's great credit unions all across the United States, and they're all non-profit. They're a board of directors, and I have a great board. My board chair was one of the first female executives at Vons. Vons is one of the largest supermarket chains here in Southern California, owned by Safeway. And there's a lot of great credit unions out there, and she was always a leader within the industry. And you and I have talked about women aspiring to do greater things, but she was one of the first leaders out there.
Yeah, and I was actually, you're speaking of Donna, correct?
No, I'm actually talking about Jen. And
Jen.
Dagana is my EVP. She's also a woman as well. And the financial service industry has always offered a lot of opportunities for women going way back. So
well, I'm a woman myself here,
Right.
And I don't know if the listening audience knows or not, but I am a CEO. I run my own company. I work in the entertainment business. I create movie concepts. I produce them. I act. There's tons of different things, and as a woman, I can definitely tell you it is extremely difficult, especially when you're first starting out, to be taken seriously as a business person.
Absolutely.
Especially in entertainment. Entertainment, all they're trying to do is take you to dinner, do this, do that.
Right.
And really deep down, especially somebody like myself, I just, I want you to take me seriously. I don't want to go to dinner with you, especially if you're
Right.
85. That's pretty disgusting. But it's happened. I mean, that's the reality of the situation,
of the industry you're in, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, those kind of things. So what is your take on, because you've mentioned two now very successful women that did you hire them into their positions?
Actually, one is my boss. She was one of the first female executives of Vons, and I was actually working for Vons as controller. And then we wanted somebody to run the credit union. And the credit union, like I said, is a non-profit cooperative. There's over 7,000 of them in the United States. And so they asked me if I want to do that, and I always wanted to help people in my career. So that's how I got into credit unions.
Cool.
And since I had a financial background, it just fit right
Hold
in.
on one second, Steve. We actually
Sure.
have a caller.
Oh, great.
Very cool. So if we have any technical difficulties, nobody get mad. If we hang up on the caller, call back. I think I got you.
Hello? Mr. Wakely?
Yes. How are you today?
Yeah, hello, caller. This is you're on live. Told you this is our first time. What's your name? Hello. Do we have a technical difficulty, Arvin? This is not going to help my station numbers for the record. There we go. No? We hung up on him?
No, call back.
Call back, mister. I think we got him calling back in again. Is he calling back in again? Oh, we got him on line 1. Now he's on line 1. So now we just pick it up. And this is obviously the first show, so just hang in there, folks. I think we got him. Name of the caller, please?
Ralph.
Ralph, hi. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Don't feel bad. I have ladies hang up on me all the time.
Perfect. Well, it can't be because of your southern accent. I can hear a southern accent in there. They got to like that.
I wanted to ask Mr. Weekly a
Yes,
question, and it's not really pertaining to winners, but I've always wanted to ask this question of somebody in the industry, and that is, very briefly, what is the difference between a credit union and a bank?
Okay, originally what happened around the 1920s and that a lot of workers on the East Coast were working in plants and things like this, and they were having trouble getting loans, or they had to get the loans actually through the company itself, like the company store. So what happened was they started forming cooperatives among the workers, where they would put their money together and they would save and lend between each other. And slowly over time, the U.S. government, the same time that they founded the FDIC and all that in the early 30s, they also started the National Credit Union Administration, which was for credit unions, which is basically people helping people. And they were non-profit cooperatives made up of members. So our board of directors is all made up of volunteers who are not paid. And of course, I'm not paid as executive. But basically, we are the same as a bank, except that we are non-profit. So anything that we earn just goes back into the credit union itself, and we're actually owned by our members. So we have over 42,000 members in our particular credit union. And so that's really the difference between us and a bank. And banks oftentimes lend more commercially for buildings and things like that, where credit unions primarily we focus on car loans, home loans, savings, certificates of deposit, and things like this. So it's basically people helping people. That's what it is.
It's amazing.
Were the credit unions affected adversely, like the banks were 4 or 5 years ago when we had the bubble pop?
Yes, they were, because when unemployment went up, of course, the amount of people that could pay on their car loans or on their home loans, went down. So all of a sudden there were more foreclosures and more people who had to turn in their cars and people that declared bankruptcy. But credit unions have always been very conservatively run, so we were able to work our way through it. And and a few credit unions closed, but that was actually very few because we've always been very conservative. We haven't done really speculative lending or anything like that. It's always been to our members who are our fellow residents here in the United States.
One more quick question.
We got to make it quick, though, because we're heading to commercials. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
do you feel that the economy is creeping forward now in a lasting way, or are the things we're seeing now coming back? Is this a temporary thing, or are we headed for good times again?
I see some green shoots out there. We really went down as far as most of it have seen in the last 25, 30 years. So I'm starting to see some green shoots out there. Housing is starting to recover. We're starting to see more auto loans. The auto sales are up and things. And of course, the economy seems to be slowly picking up. It was up 2.4%. The GDP was here in the first quarter. So it seems to be picking up very slow, Ralph. Of course, we always wish for more and it would be faster, but it seems to be a little bit better than where we were. I think consumer confidence is at the highest level in 5 years. So I think that it's getting more positive, but of course we got a long ways to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling in. We really appreciate you listening. So we hope you answered all of your questions.
You,
and that's everyone. You're listening to What Honesty Feels Like with Christine Sawicki. We'll be right back.
The Three Guys Rant with Arvin, Mike, and Phil.
Coming to you on the Rant Radio Network every Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can call us at 855-69-THE-3-GUYS.
It's not the three guys. This is why you should turn in, because one has Tourette's. The other one's illiterate.
You really should listen in. You never know what's going to happen.
855-69-3-GUYS. G-U-Y-S and the number 3, not the.
Faces for radio, voices for the deaf.
Look forward to talking to you.
Hey, I'm audio candy. I don't know about you guys.
What up, foodie freaks? It's Chef Bev Lazo with the Culinary Trend Show. Join me and my brigade every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m. where we will be cooking up some crazy stuff that will give you the appetite for discussion. It's all about the good food, good friends, and good times. Only here on rantradionetwork.com.
DM Narc Radio Show is now airing on the Rant Radio Network. You've heard the three guys Rant refer to us as the Clam Chowder Power Hour. Now we get to bring our New England humor over to Los Angeles. We'll be airing Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern, and we'll cover everything from local to national politics and news. Guess what? We're uncensored too. I'm Dave. Join me and Nick Friday on the Rant Radio Network.
We're the Brothers Bear Podcast Live, and I'm your host, Sanj, and I'm always joined by
Edgar,
Carlos Madrano, and this is a show where we talk about
comics, movies, TV, video games, stand-up, music, and many more geeky things.
Catch us live on Rant Radio Network on Mondays from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m.
That's another commercial in the back.
Hi, I'm Aaron Michael Sanchez.
And I'm Kelly V. Dolan.
And we are excited to announce our show Live with Aaron and Kelly is on Rant Radio Network. What do we talk about on our show, Kelly?
We talk about everything from entertainment to business and tech, and we have a few laughs in between.
That's right. Go check us out on rantradionetwork.com. That's rantradionetwork.com.
Check it out.
Okay, and we're back now with What Honesty Feels Like with Christine Sawicki, and I have a wonderful in-studio guest, Mr. Steve Weekly. He is the president and CEO of Vaughn's Credit Union. What a title, loaded with credentials. This man is amazing, so I'm super glad to have him here. So talk about amazing. There's plenty of amazing businessmen out there. You've got your Warren Buffetts, you've got your Steve Jobs, plenty of guys that if they have a son, I'd love to marry him. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, but anyway, if, there's tons of people out there that you could possibly look up to. Do you have, with all of your success behind you, who's inspired you?
Well, from a business perspective, people like Steve Jobs, basically came from nothing and built a company that has affected people all around the world. He was revolutionary, and Warren Buffett from a financial standpoint. So in the finance industry, there's a lot of people like that, or people that created jobs. But yet on a personal level for me, it's always been my mom, because I was raised in a large family with five kids. And so, it really comes back to reason why I like credit unions too, is because credit unions are based upon families helping families and people helping people. And my mom has always been a great inspiration, and she's 94 now and still going strong.
Strong.
And if we have a good foundation and we feel secure growing up, that makes us a much better person. So I want to thank my mom for all that she's meant to me. There's a lot of great people out there, but I hope everybody in their life has had a great mom or a great dad or a combination thereof, because I think it really helps them throughout their life and feeling better about themselves.
Oh, absolutely. And just knowing you personally, ever since I've known you, you are definitely a man of integrity.
I try to be all the time.
You really are a noble person. So for something like that, how important in business would you say, in order to get to where you are, like we kind of mentioned earlier, talking about trust and stuff like that, in order for you to get your position, someone has to trust you.
It's absolutely critical, because when we really look at ourselves as guardians, especially at credit unions, guardian of other people's money, so we take that very seriously. And they also have to trust us, from a confidentiality standpoint, that we will take care of people's money and treat it in a very sacred way. And that's kind of a credit union difference. Banks are out there to make money, quote unquote. Credit unions are out there to serve people. I mean, they have to make a certain return in order to keep the doors open and all of that. But they aren't out there just strictly to make money, and that's one of the credit union differences.
Well, you're in charge of a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people reporting into day in and day out. So, how do you is your base of your facility? Is it based on integrity? What are some of the things that you guys really focus on within the corporate culture, within the culture of your company? Like, what does it look like? Is it full of integrity, or what do you guys what do you as a president and CEO, what do you like to focus on for Well,
it starts first with that, and we've all worked our way through life, working for different companies. Do we have a call?
Yeah, we definitely have a caller, and this is awesome. We've got callers coming in. I'm so excited. Arvin, the producer of the show, is gonna be so proud of us. Hold on one second. And caller, you with us? Hello? Hello? Did we screw this up again?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We got a caller. We did it right. Okay, caller, can I get your name, please?
Yes, this is Lenny from Washington, D.C.
Lenny from Washington, D.C. calling
Lenny,
all
how
the
are
way.
you tonight?
Hey, very good. I have a question for you, Mr. Weekly.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned earlier in the show, Vons has created a very productive corporate environment for the employees. And
we try our
offers
best.
a harmonious environment so the employees are relaxed, and you created trust. And I think other corporations who don't have that environment, the employees would be reluctant to deposit their money into the company credit union.
That is correct.
How is Vons Credit Union a separate entity from the grocery store chain?
Yes.
And what's the percentage
Yes.
of the 42,000 employees you have that are members of the credit union?
Yes, every credit union has its own field of membership, and it is not owned or controlled by the company in any way, and that's where the separation was made back in the 1930s. That's why we're all federally insured. Just like a bank, is to create that degree of separation, so we don't have that control. So from our standpoint, our sponsor, one of our sponsors is Vons. Just like there's a lot of sponsors out there, large companies as well as teachers, firemen, all different fields of membership.
Okay, I'm sure if you also mentioned that credit unions are non-profit, so I
Yes.
guess I'm assuming now that you're exempt from state and federal taxes.
Yes, we are.
Do you have from the state of California?
From federal taxes. We're exempt from federal taxes as well as state taxes in the state of California.
Okay, with California being in such debt, the state itself, do they ever put pressure on you to pay state taxes or change the laws so credit unions will contribute to the tax base?
There really hasn't been a strong movement to do that, because I think that most people in the California legislature know that we're out there, people serving people. So just like with the federal government, we're not taxed as well, because they know that we're basically people serving people, and we're not out there just making money to pay it back in dividends or in stock price. It's basically all our money is put back in there to get better loans and better rates for our members. So there really hasn't been a strong movement. Of course, California is finally starting to turn around financially too, where I think we got a balanced budget this year for the first time in several years.
Well, that's good. Well, just to switch the subject just real quick, I read about it looks like you have a solar-powered
Yes, we do.
on the property.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
How does that come about, and does that help you save expenses? And it looks
Yes,
like
it does. Yes, it does. I've always felt that you should give back to the environment and to the world, all of us who are here. So actually, what happened was that the state of California was offering credits back for solar, as well as Southern California Edison. So we ended up covering our complete building, as well as we have Big Yelta carport, and we've cut our usage of our electricity by 66%, 66 and 2/3, which is two-thirds cut. And we received LEED Gold certification from the United States Green Building Council, and we also this last year just won the EPA Battle of the Buildings for having the most efficient building from an environmental and a usage of energy standpoint. So, and from a return on assets, to answer your question on that, it has about 8% return on assets. And we know how if you put your money into a share certificate or CD right now, you might maybe get 0.5% to 1%. So it's not only been good for the environment, but it's been a great return for the credit union as well. So it's us helping the environment and also
okay, well, very
return.
Good. Sounds like Bonds is a great company. It's under great leadership, and thanks for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Perfect. That's a great question, and I'm actually really glad that caller brought that up because that was one of the things I wanted to speak to you about, Steve, was your accomplishments and the many awards that you have won. I had I was lucky enough to be touring your offices the other day.
Yes,
and
you
so
came by for a tour.
Yeah, and I saw the solar panels on the buildings,
Yes.
and you showed me the numbers and all that
Right.
stuff. But you've won some awards, so can you tell us about those? And
well, we were fortunate back in 2004 to win the National Association of Federal Credit Unions Credit Union of the Year back in 2004. There was a real long retail clerk strike, and we helped the members both in management and on the union side here in Southern California when that happened. And the national movement recognized us for helping our members during that period of time. So we won that award back in 2004.
which is fantastic. I mean, definitely an accomplishment.
That's really what the purpose of the credit union. We were kind of the neutral party, and of course everything was successfully resolved, which was good. But that's when credit unions help out the members, regardless of what their political or whatever affiliation is. We're out there to help them.
Sure. Okay. And then is there anything else on that list that you'd like to talk about? Because I sure saw a lot of things on the wall, Steve.
Yeah.
So don't try to leave any of them out.
Well, one of the things that we won too was that we were really the first building, like we talked about, in the city of El Monte to receive LEED certification. That was a non-governmental building from that standpoint. So we want to be a leader within the community. We also won the beautification award from there as well, because we've always believed in whatever space we have, we want to make it as beautiful as possible. We have 120 roses out there.
So that's a pretty awesome award. I had seen that on the wall.
Right.
Beautification. Explain that to somebody who may not know what exactly that award entails. I mean,
basically, we've all driven down the street and we've seen a house or a building or a commercial site that says, man, that place looks really nice, and environmentally it looks like they're really taking care of the environment. And that's part of what we were trying to do there in El Monte, was to promote that. Because one thing about the community of El Monte, if you look at the amount of trees and everything else within the community itself, it's at a very low percentage. So when it heats up there in the summer, the place gets really hot. So we've really supported anything that will bring more trees into the community, as well as trying to create as much green space as we can to help the community.
Sure. And another thing too, I mean, you mentioned the Tournament of Roses and stuff like that. I know that's a very big thing that happens. There's the Pasadena. What's
Once
the Rose Bowl parade?
On New Year's Day, there is the Rose. Yes, there's
it's
the Rose
crazy.
Parade every year. It's been going on for over 120 years, approximately.
Over 120 years, and I'm going to tell you, that is probably one of the craziest things. When I moved to Pasadena,
yes.
I had heard of that parade.
Yes.
And I heard that people actually camped on the sidewalks with their kids, mind you, with no tents.
Yes.
I somewhat questioned the sanity of the city of Pasadena following that event. However, I saw little fire pits, kids on air mattresses, and stuff like that. But you were chosen.
Well, I'm a member of the Tournament of Roses. There's 900 volunteers, and I'm one of the volunteers that's been doing it for almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
So every year we get out there on New Year's Day, and we try to put on a great parade and make it a safe parade, and show Southern California to the rest of the world what a beautiful place it is.
Right.
As well as have a great football game, of course, at the Rose Bowl.
Which is, of course, very, very, very important.
For all us football fans, it always is.
It's always very important. And like I said, I mean, it's a really big thing to be part of that parade, anybody in the city, because I know they don't just pick up anybody to be a part of that. You got to be doing something in the city to make it better. So
we want to make it a beautiful city, and Pasadena is absolutely, it's the jewel of the San Gabriel Valley. So we like to try
jewel of the San Gabriel Valley. That is a marketing campaign in and of itself.
And there's a lot of beautiful cities in the San Gabriel Valley. They're all beautiful in their own, but when it comes to having the Rose Bowl and all that, that's why it's kind of special.
And we're going to talk about much more stuff here following the commercial break here. here, but stay tuned in. I mean, Steve Weekly, we can talk about not only is he an accomplished president and CEO, but he's got other things up his sleeve too. So somebody with many, many accomplishments. This is What Honesty Feels Like with Christine Sawicki. So tune in after commercial.
Thank you, Christine.
The experts know that for pastry, Baker's Bodega has it all. Exclusive brands like Westco Bankmart, Satin Ice, and Pastry Pride. One-on-one day seminars for cake decorating and gelatin art. So for our service, wide range of ingredients and supplies, and for the low prices, Baker's Bodega has it all. But you don't need to be an expert. Baker's Bodega, 7869 Paramount Boulevard in Pico Rivera. Come, we're waiting for you.
Theticketsurgeon.com. Reach us at 855-WIN-4-199.
Did you get caught speeding, texting while driving, or doing anything else you weren't supposed to do?
Give us a call. Don't miss work. Don't lose out on the money. Don't get any more points. What about your insurance? Let us fight for you. Theticketsurgeon.com at 855-WIN-4-199. This segment's sponsored by Mucho Macho Michelada. Whenever you got to spice up your beer, Mucho Macho Michelada is for you. Only real men.
Did you say mucho macho?
Mucho Macho, baby, where the real men come to drink.
Hey, I don't always drink michelada, but when I do, I drink mucho macho michelada.
If only Arvin could be a little more mucho macho.
Will it put some hair on my chest?
No, but te quema entrando y saliendo.
Welcome to the Monster Marketing Group, your one-stop shop for all your marketing needs. Anything you need to make that marketing and advertising campaign stand out, we're your people. Concept, design, production, social media, anything that you can dream up, we're going to make happen for you. And we can do it in a very quick turnaround. Please give us a call at 888-49-MONSTER.
Hi, I'm Eddie Sell, creator of Firehouse Chefs, and you're listening to FHC Radio. Join us every Wednesday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. and join our community of firefighters, chefs, food industry professionals, celebrities, and more as we take you on a journey that melds our professional passions into a fun, insightful, and engaging show. Welcome to FHC Radio on the Rant Radio Network.
Okay, you're tuning into What Honesty Feels Like with Christine Sawicki. And if you're just tuning in now, just remember we have the super special in-studio guest, Mr. Steve Weekly, who is the president and CEO of Vaughn's Credit Union. Quite an amazing man, so hopefully you caught the beginning of the interview so far, and we've got plenty more questions to ask him. And so I'm going to start off here with... Interestingly enough, this week, I'm always on Twitter, I'm always on Facebook, and Twitter seems to be the new news feed of today anyway versus the news. And there was an incident with a commercial, a Cheerios commercial. Are you familiar with that, Steve?
No.
Okay.
Why don't you tell me about it?
Well, what it was is there was a interracial couple that appeared in a Cheerios commercial, the cereal. And apparently it caused complete uproar.
Really?
And me coming from a background of, for my personal self, I don't believe in racism. I can't believe that people even think about that in today's society. But apparently, I mean, it's obvious that it's still out there because people can go online, and it's always easier to make a comment online than it actually is to, to somebody's face. Yeah, because that's the coward way to do it, of course.
Right.
So if that all blew up the way it did, and people were all mad about that, it was a white woman with an African American male and an interracial child. So to me, that's quite disturbing that anything is going on like that, and that we even have to deal with that. This is the commercial. I mean, you can see, Steve, you can take a look up there.
Sure.
We've actually got it on the thing. I mean, can you even believe that? Look at how beautiful that is. I mean, to me, I see family no matter what.
Exactly.
But apparently, in today's society, that's not family. There was a big problem and a big uproar. And I myself, look at how adorable that. How can you not like that girl?
Right.
I'm like, how can you not like that girl?
Absolutely.
So what is wrong with America? I mean, we are in 2013. And honestly, what honesty feels like with Christine, I think it's disgusting. I think it's really disgusting that people even have a problem with that today. Right. And have we not advanced as a culture? I mean, I remember going to South Carolina, and I love South Carolina. I love the people in South Carolina. I love everybody everywhere. And that was probably about in 1998. So, whatever.
Sure. 15 years ago.
Yeah, it was like, it was different then. And there's definitely, I thought, progression, but clearly there is not. So
we've made a lot of progress, I think, but still, it sounds like there's still a lot of progress to be made.
There was obvious. I mean, if that many people are that mad that a white woman appears in a commercial with a black man, that is ridiculous. Right. So, as a president and CEO who wants to make a difference and who wants to change the world in today's society,
sure,
how do you approach diversity in the credit unions, and what does that mean to you? And what is your take on something like that? I couldn't believe it. I was baffled, and it's clear though. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, so it still exists.
Well, having grown up and live in a place called Southern California, and California, it's a very diverse place, and it's kind of a melting pot of a place, and it's actually a wonderful thing because people just treat each other as people, and that's how we should treat each other, and we should all treat each other fairly and equally, and it's unfortunate that something like this happened.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I come from Minnesota originally, and I can tell you right now that SoCal is definitely the melting pot.
It is. It's
of
a great
the
place
world.
to live.
And I mean, I've met people from India. I've met people from Italy.
Everywhere.
I mean, it's beautiful, and
it is.
There's so much culture out there, and there's so many different things. If you just get off yourself for 4 seconds, and you learn something about somebody else, that's a whole different world. I mean, I've learned, about Italian to sit down with an original family from Italy. It's to learn about their culture.
Right.
So
we're
like
kind of the Ellis Island of the 21st century. When people came from all around the world and they came through Ellis Island in New York. That's really what we are now. We have people coming from all around the world, and they all live here in Southern California as well as the rest of California.
But I didn't get that. It's not that Minnesota's not diverse. It's just not as diverse as it would be in California. And it's also, I think we kind of live in somewhat of a bubble, clearly, because in California, most people don't care about racism anymore. Right. I mean, people have made great progress. Yeah. So it was very shocking to see something like that come up, and quite honestly, pretty disappointing. But yeah, it is, like I said, as a president.
Well, hopefully in 5 years or something like that happens again, or 3 years or whatever, it'll be a non-issue, just like with the whole issue of gays and that. Look how much progress that we've made in that.
Which is amazing,
We made great progress in the last, you almost can feel it, the last 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely. And of course that starts here, and I think it starts here in Southern California. Correct me if I'm...
in California.
I'm wrong.
On the West Coast.
On the West Coast. Well, the West Coast is definitely doing a lot of movement stuff, so that's amazing. It looks like we have 2 callers. Line 2. Okay, we're new at this, so I got line 2. Hold on 1 second. But Arvin's gonna be so proud of me. We got callers. That's our first show. We're doing something right. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can do this right. Caller, are you there?
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, Christine.
Yeah.
It's Rick calling from South Carolina.
Oh my God!
South Carolina. She was just talking about South Carolina.
I was just talking about South Carolina. Hey, Rick, how are you?
Doing good, playing some chess, hanging out with my friend Todd down here.
Oh, yeah? That's good, that's good. So what's the weather like in South Carolina?
Oh, it's spring getting to be summer. School's out this week, so, kids will be running around soon.
Awesome. So what kind of questions do you have?
Well, tell me more. South Carolina, it's interesting. I've lived down here for about 5.5 years now. And, the South has gotten, I think, more progressive in a lot of ways.
Great.
Okay.
People think that there's a difference in time between South Carolina and North Carolina, which is sometimes kind of true. But South Carolina is actually really cool. There's lots of great people down here. And
I would agree. Well, I'm a huge fan of South Carolina. I think it's beautiful. I love the people there. Just my personal experience, like I said, back about 15 years ago. I mean, it was an interesting time, which is okay. I mean, I could handle it, you know. It was rather interesting, but I love the South. That's not where we were going with this. It's just kind of, it's interesting to see where does this stem from? Where does this, you know, here in on the West Coast, it's not really like that anymore. Unless it's like the whispers behind closed doors. So what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, things have changed a lot because before I moved here, I worked for a technology company up in the Northwest, and then I moved down to the Carolinas. I've been working in the banking industry, and, you know, what I see of culture and philanthropy, they're treated in different ways depending on where you're at. I've seen a lot of different things in the last few years. You know, one thing that I like to do, and me and my friends like to do, is, you know, more, you know, do a lot of things that support the local area and the communities that.
Sure, absolutely. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, I think.
Still here?
Yeah. It just went dead for a while. And you know me, I'm new at this. This is my first show. Everybody, hang in there.
You're doing great, Christine.
I think I'm doing a good job.
You are.
I think I'm doing a great job. I'm just kidding, you guys. Okay, so yeah, so South Carolina. So, do you have any other questions here?
No, I don't have any other questions. I just wanted to call in and say hello. I've known you for a long time, and I think you're doing a good job and enjoying the show here.
You know what's interestingly enough is Rick hired me for my first job out of college, my first professional job ever.
Is that right? In Minnesota?
In Minnesota. Yeah, do we bring up the company, Rick?
Nah.
That's okay, right? Anonymous.
Yeah, it's an anonymous company. Interestingly enough, anonymous company. And I remember actually interviewing with Steve, which was quite interesting. Wasn't there two females that interviewed with me too?
Oh, yeah, there was a whole panel of them.
Yeah. There was a panel, and the women didn't really want me for the job. What happened? Rick was the one that fought for me. He's a pretty good guy. He started my career. He's followed it ever since I moved out to California.
Great.
So we appreciate you listening.
You know, when I was interviewing Christine that time, I remember her telling me about how she had paid her way through college by working as a waitress and a bartender, and also she realized she had to get her own computer for college, and she built her own computer, and I was just so impressed.
Christine?
The first time I met her, and it's like, man, we got to hire her. But yeah, it was a place of certain corporate politics and other.
And Christine Sawicki is definitely wild. So to cage her in like a tiger, we got issues. Yeah. Well, thank you for calling in, Rick. We appreciate it, and thanks for listening. And make sure you share the show with all of your friends. Okay.
I will. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you. Bye.
That's so sweet.
That was very nice.
I know, right?
That
So
was
my
very
friends
nice.
in South Carolina are listening.
Well, you know, sometimes, you know, in a corporate culture, somebody who's more creative and things, other times, sometimes people have trouble with that. But we should all, just like with diversity, be open to what each person can bring to the plate.
Sure. Well, I mean, you've got a lot of different things in your background, too. Like, last I heard, you do not kickboxing, but martial arts.
Right. I've been in the martial arts.
Chop,
for many
chop.
years.
You
Yes.
do one of these?
Taekwondo.
Yeah?
Which is Korean style.
So tell us a little bit about that, because, I mean, quite honestly, how do you have time when you're already the president and CEO of a credit union? Where do you find time? And do you have a lot of work-life balance stuff, or what's going on?
We need, you know, for first of all, we should all take care of ourselves, whether we work out, whether we swim, win weights, walk, or whatever it is. We all need to work out, and you know, and the martial arts not only build you physically, but it also builds you mentally and in many ways spiritually, because it really teaches you to defend yourself. But also, the very first the thing about the martial arts is the last thing that you ever want to do is actually get in some kind of fray, because you want to try to prevent it in all ways. So it actually teaches you to be a much more peaceful and controlled person.
Really?
Yes, it does.
So when you get mad, do you just go to the, like, I can't even see you getting mad, though. Like, you're so, I'm not in your work environment every day, though.
Right.
So, okay.
But it does help keep you calm, because you learn to focus, you know. And probably the closest thing to Taekwondo is, of course, Chuck Norris. We've all seen Chuck Norris on Walker, Texas Ranger, and that. he was when he was in the Air Force. He was in Korea, and that's where he learned Taekwondo, which is about 70% kick versus 30% punch.
Well, what we're going to do, because I want to hear all about that, but we have a commercial coming on. But there's a lot to personal, Steve, that we haven't discussed yet that we're going to get into. So after the commercial, join us on What Honesty Feels Like with Christine Sawicki and hear more about this incredible man.
Looking for a delicious, fresh family meal that's ready when you are and easy on your budget? Welcome to Piara Pizza. We make our pizzas with handmade dough, 100% real cheese, and tomato sauce blended with our own spices. Nothing is ever frozen. We always have large pepperoni and cheese pizzas fresh and waiting for you for only $5. Or choose one of our specialty pizzas. We have veggie, meat lovers, supreme, and Hawaiian. Add an order of our amazing hot wings, cheesy bread, or breadsticks. Our locations are ultra-modern, ultra-clean, and open 7 days a week. Visit any one of our locations today, or check us out on the web at www.piarapizza.com. Piara Pizza. Fresh, hot, and ready for you when you come in. Stop in for your Piara Pizza today.
A home is the biggest investment in most people's lives. Buying or selling should be a positive experience.
Whether you want to be a wealthy real estate investor or just trying to find a place to call home. At AJR & Associates, we focus on the client's needs.
We understand the market better than most. Let us bring the value to you and make the right choice.
AJR & Associates, making your dream house a reality. Call us today for a free consultation at 562-842-7149.
With a track record of great results, bringing knowledge, wisdom, and expertise to you. Hablamos español.
We're the Brothers Bear Podcast Live, and I'm your host, Sanch, and I'm always joined by
Edgar,
Carlos Medrano, and this is a show where we talk about
comics, movies, TV, video games, stand-up, music, and many more geeky things.
Catch us live on Rant Radio Network on Mondays from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m.
That's another commercial in the back.
What up, foodie freaks? It's Chef Bev Lazo with the Culinary Trend Show. Join me and my brigade every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m. where we will be cooking up some crazy stuff that will give you the appetite for discussion. It's all about the good food, good friends, and good times. Only here on RantRadioNetwork.com.
DM Narc Radio Show is now airing on the Rant Radio Network. You've heard the three guys Rant refer to us as the Clam Chowder Power Hour. Now we get to bring our New England humor over to Los Angeles. We'll be airing Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern, and we'll cover everything from local to national politics and news. Guess what? We're uncensored too. I'm Dave. Join me and Nick Friday on the Rant Radio Network.
Okay, and now we're returning live in studio with What Honesty Feels Like with Christine Sawicki. As I've said multiple times, in-studio guest is the Mr. Steve Weekly. What a man.
Christine.
Quite incredible. So we've talked about your accomplishments. We've talked about your awards. We've talked about how you saved the earth, whatever.
A little piece of the earth, okay?
Well, I mean, you're saving the earth. You're contributing.
Yeah.
Some people don't contribute at all.
We should all try to help.
Some people don't even recycle. So I think you're doing a great job,
For
right?
our future generations.
For the future, for the kids. Let's do it for the kids.
Absolutely.
Okay, so after all of those accomplishments and all of those things, because I know a lot of people, I mean, you know how it is, like there's that double-edged sword.
Sure.
Like how you have a priest.
Yes.
And they're up there talking about God on the altar,
Yes.
and then they're like, whoa, we got a mic out of place. But then you've got weirdo stuff going on behind the scenes, and I'm not just segmenting priests. I'm just saying, just as an example. So you may be Mr. Wonderful to the public. I'll definitely say it, Mr. Wonderful. You're a very sophisticated man. You're articulate. You've accomplished a lot. You've saved the earth partially. And and you've done growth for a credit union. I believe it's from 200 million to 400 million. Is that correct? Or what
50 million. To
I'm sorry, 50 million to 400 million. Right. That is growth beyond growth. So I want you to grow my bank account. Period. Okay, so once you have all of that and all of those accomplishments, it's great that everybody has awards, but everybody goes home at night.
Right.
So I know some very successful people in this town that I think are absolute monsters behind the scenes. Yeah. So who is Steve Weekly when he goes home at night? Tell us about your personal growth.
Well, one odd thing, we talked some about the martial arts before the last break. Mm-hmm. And really, I've done a lot of martial arts for a lot of years, and I've really focused, though, I've kind of transitioned over the last 10 years into yoga because I think that one is complementary with the other. And it gets kind of a spiritual path that yet I've grown in that area as well, because because everybody talks about yoga and they think that, like you were talking about before the break, about being like a pretzel or something, but it's actually, we all sit all the time and we get stiff and all that over time, especially as we mature in our years, and it really helps to have something like that to really kind of open you up again, to keep you flexible, because not only keeps your body flexible, but also keeps your mind and your spirit.
Well, yeah, yoga is definitely something I've heard about a lot. A lot of people have suggested that to me. What does that mean? I'm stressed.
Yes. It really helps for stress in modern society.
I've heard it a million times, and I'm total attention. I'm always doing a million things at once, and yoga's never been one thing. First of all, I can't bend like that. I'm not a pretzel. Yes. I don't fix you see the poses. And you can do those poses. We
all start off in the same thing.
Like
where
head
we
behind
can barely
hands.
Bend.
I've seen the pictures of people on Facebook. That's crazy.
Yes, that is. No,
you do
it? I've done it for a long time.
Don't blush.
I can't put my.
I got Mr. Weekly blushing.
But one thing that both the martial arts and yoga stresses is the breath. And we all talk about when you get stressed out, deep breathing, just relax yourself. And that's what yoga and the martial arts teach you, how to breathe, how to be focused. And so that makes you stronger. It also allows you to handle stress. It kind of brings that temperature down, like if you're feeling stress at work or in your life or whatever. So it kind of gives you that inner resource to kind of step back and handle the modern life.
Are you just doing that as like a hobby type thing, or just something that is a class you take at a gym?
I've been taking it for a long time at a place called Yoga House in Pasadena, and I'm actually working on my
Yoga House in Pasadena. Shout out!
I'm actually working on my teacher certification right now.
Oh, wow! Yes. So, president and CEO of a credit union does martial arts and a teacher certification.
Yes, and
for yoga.
Yes.
Does that? I don't understand. Does that take classes? And when
do
you do that?
At night. I have to work. Take a lot of classes. I get
do you sleep? Because I'm a CEO. Do you sleep?
The thing about after you have, and we all know whether you go to the gym or whatever. After you've had a good hard workout in the evening, you're ready to just go and hit the sack, and you sleep just like a baby.
Right. So, okay, for example, when I was younger, much younger, because now I'm not old, but kind of. No. And when I got my personal training certification.
Sure, yes.
So what is the process one takes to get a certification as a teacher?
It's very similar. You have to accumulate so many hours of helping with classes. You got to go through classroom work. You got to be able to demonstrate certain poses that you're able to do.
So name 5 poses that you can do. For the yoga world. People in yoga, do you know these? What are they?
Like Vajrasana 1, Vajrasana 2.
Could you do it on the table?
I could, but I'm not.
Why?
I could.
I think this is amazing. We need photos of that.
Katasana, which is like the chair pose and things like this. So they're
a what?
Again, they're all Sanskrit terms, and Sanskrit's a base language.
Right.
Going back several thousand years, because all this originally came from India.
Oh, really? Well, I can't wait to go to India someday. It's going to be
just like
so
the martial arts came from Asia, primarily China and Japan and Korea.
Right. Oh, wow. That's really interesting. So when will you be certified?
I hope by the end of this year.
By the end of the year?
I hope by the end of this year.
Then you'll probably end up opening a yoga studio, in your 4 hours that you have available in the day, or what? What are you going to do?
Maybe down the road, 10 years, I might do that when I retire.
That would be nice,
It'd
right?
be kind of a natural transition for me.
Would you call it the
But right
weekly
now, I really
becomes
enjoy what I'm
strong?
doing.
Get it?
Yes.
Steve Weekly
You know,
becomes strong.
You know, I've heard that term throughout my life, about my name.
Have
and I
you?
say, just as long as it's right on my paycheck, that's all that counts.
That's all that counts. And definitely, you've got a paycheck that
Thank
most
you.
would love to have.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can I get some? It was actually pretty funny because when I had posted that you were coming on my on my Facebook page and my Twitter and stuff, that the president and CEO of a bonds credit union was coming on, I think I had 2 solicitors. One was like, "Can he finance one of my films?" And another one
don't do commercial lending. If it's his car, maybe.
If it's his car,
if they're a field-to-field membership, we could help him.
So what about a Bentley? Could a credit union give me a Bentley? Like, could I get a?
We don't have a lot of members within our field of the membership that would fit because we're more of a blue collar type. Middle class membership, but if you had somebody in our field of membership who had the income and had the credit score and put the money down.
What if you're dating somebody with the income? Could you get a co-signer?
If they're like a domestic partner or whatever, and they want to co-sign for
or
you,
just they've dated a couple times, and you
and
throw it out there.
To be a co-signer, and they have an 800 on the credit score and want to put money down. I'm sure
it could work out. Okay, so again, back to on a serious note, your personal growth, right?
Yes.
As you've progressed throughout your career, you've done many wonderful things. Tell me about Steve Weekly as a human being when he started off, and how you've grown throughout the years, as a businessman. Like, what as yourself, for example, me, when I first started off in my first job, I mean, I'm off the chain. I was working in the music industry. That was the bomb. I had way too much. I mean, I can't believe they gave us the decision-making power that they did in the music industry. It's pretty awesome. But I would say I'm a different business person today than I was back in the day.
Sure.
Just as far as the way, and that all comes with experience and stuff like that, but the way I handle employees or the way that I handle coworkers or the way that I've developed as a person. So how have you developed? Would you say, what kind of person were you when you first started out, and how have you changed?
Well, it's like we grow as human beings. Hopefully over time we become a little wiser. Hopefully, and some of our decision making doesn't mean that we do everything perfectly all the time, but we learn from our mistakes. Again, also in interacting with our members as well as with employees. Hopefully, you want to hold people to a good standard, but that we've learned compassion over time in the way that we treat people, just like you would want to be treated with compassion yourself.
Right.
So that's probably what I've tried to learn the most of my career. It's the balance, and that you can be successful as a credit union or as a business person or whatever, and you can still treat people well, because really that comes back to you. If you treat somebody well, that will come back to you.
Okay.
If you try to just take whatever money you can from them, that they won't want to do business with you.
They won't want to do business with you. Yeah, it's a two-way street. That's a really good point.
That's how you build the connections and the relationships over time.
Absolutely. And so if you could, I have 2 more questions because we're almost wrapping up here, but I really want to get these in. If in 3 words or 3 different words, what would your employees, how would they describe you as a boss?
I would hope, let's see.
I mean, we can call them, I'm just kidding.
I would hopefully they would say fair and compassionate.
Fair and compassionate, okay.
I would hope.
And if you would hope. Okay, well, I actually, just knowing you for the amount of time that I have, I would definitely agree with that. And anybody that does work for you or with you is very, very fortunate, considering the level of power that you have and the things that you have accomplished. Most people don't stay that level-headed and humble. So congratulations to you. That's amazing. And then the last final thing, last couple minutes here, if you could give advice to anybody trying to do what you do, what would you tell them?
Perseverance. Oftentimes people will try something out and the going gets tough and they'll quit. Oftentimes success is just perseverance. You have a good idea and you just got to stick at it, and you just got to keep working, and we're all going to face adversity, but you just got to keep persevering. I would say perseverance is a real key to success over time.
And I would agree with you too. Like I said, I'm fortunate enough. I've never done radio before. I'm in the entertainment world, and going after, the entertainment world endlessly, day in and day out.
And that takes perseverance.
Perseverance. It's
as well as rejection. You got to deal with a certain amount of that, don't you?
Oh, I've been rejected like every day, 1,000 times a day.
Sure.
But you've got to keep going. I think that's wonderful advice. Just keep believing in yourself, and
Believe in yourself.
believe in yourself, because anybody can do it. Anybody. If you put in the time and you put in the effort, you just keep trying and trying again. Eventually something's going to stick, it maybe not in the form that you thought it was going to stick, but maybe in a better form.
It may end up being a different dream than what you thought that dream was, but yet you got to keep working at it, because if you quit, you will never accomplish that dream.
That is correct. So as we are here in the last minute and a half for the show, I'm really excited. I want to thank everybody that's
You've done
listening.
a great job on your first show, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Well, Arvin's put serious pressure on me to put up numbers. So,
and who do you have on next week? You were saying?
Oh, we have a rapper on next week. So everybody,
that's a step up.
No, it's not a step up. It's a step at everybody.
It's a different level.
Yeah, everybody's successful in
different story,
different categories. So as you continue to listen to my show,
the week after that, you were telling me.
I believe it's Brett from Bama USA. He started Bama USA, which is cage fighting. And then following that, I have a cinematographer who worked on Entourage, and I want the most successful people in the world in every industry. Sure. I have an attorney coming on. There's multiple. I have an NBA player who turned R&B singer. He is the amazing human being. All of you people are amazing human beings. And so, like I said, for all my listeners, I just want to make sure that if you want to know what it's like to be successful, and like I said, success is defined in many different ways, tune in to What Honesty Feels Like with Christine Sawicki. Thank you so much for calling in. Find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter at Sawicki, under Christine Sawicki on rantradionetwork.com. And thank you so much for listening. I'm excited for next Tuesday. We have a rapper.
Thank you.
You're listening to What Honesty Feels Like with Christine Sawicki, that airs every Tuesday from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can catch us on rantradionetwork.com. If you're one of the most successful people in the world, I want to talk to you. I want to know how you got there, where you're going, and who you're giving back to. So call me at 855-969-7268 and check in with me, the most successful people in the world.
Rant Radio Network is looking for you. Are you into radio, voiceovers, production, media?